I'm here to talk about Design 99 and Powerhouse Productions, which is coming up. Design 99 is a design studio that I started with my husband, Mitch Cope, back in 2007. That's us. And we started as a storefront space, which might sound strange for a design studio, but the whole goal and the reason we quit our day jobs was because we wanted to figure out a way to make contemporary art and design accessible to people who don't necessarily think that they have a connection with contemporary art or design. So we did a bunch of publication projects, worked with the city of Hamtramck. You're just trying to bring design into their business community in a way that maybe they hadn't thought about. A lot of our projects are self-initiated. But our big marketing scheme that got us a lot of clients and a lot of press and a lot of attention was our $99 house call consultation services. And for $99, we would come to your house and we would talk about design issues and problems and ideas you had and ideas we had to sort of just make everyday life, sort of inject a little bit of art and design into your everyday life. Those are some contractors we worked with. The slides are just going to flip through, so I might be able to think a little bit, but Claire's flipping. But the whole idea is that I really felt like there's a big market out there in maybe like small pieces. $99 isn't a lot for design services, but if you get enough people together and you get them thinking about design differently, then it actually really works. And it also leads to other clients or other projects. So the same clients that might have started as $99 jobs then turn into house renovations, or we did rain garden designs for people. And then we got a lot of attention from both inside the community and outside the community through the whole Design 99 model and the kind of work we did. And we ended up doing museum commissions. So some of the slides flipping through are projects we did with museums in the Netherlands and in Chicago. And so our tiny little storefront shop in Hamtramck in a retail district, which we put there in order to make people feel more comfortable about coming into our shop and sort of have another reason to come in and think about design besides just us. It was sort of less intimidating if there was a retail environment that people could come into and browse before they approached the big scary architect. They could really sort of feel comfortable in the space. And that project, or that part of the project, grew into just a full-blown design studio, exhibition design, and projects around the world, really. So we've been traveling a lot since we started. Traveling a lot and then initiating more projects back in our neighborhood at home. And so our neighborhood is just north of Hamtramck. We live in Detroit. And we've started doing house projects, partly because, we lived in an old corner storefront in Detroit, and we sort of had this funny little public space in our own home. But primarily because through the real estate downturn, our little neighborhood started emptying out. And so out of necessity, we were trying to figure out ways to stabilize a neighborhood. And again, my background's in architecture. My husband is an artist. And so, maybe we think about neighborhood stabilization strategies differently than someone else might think about it. Maybe someone from the business realm or even the planning realm. We were really looking ground up strategies. So it started just out of necessity by looking at problems that we were having in the neighborhood and trying to figure out what to do with empty houses that became vulnerable through their vacancy. And we started watching real estate listings, and the real estate listings were sort of too good to pass up when one of the houses around the corner, so the Powerhouse, which kind of just went by. The Powerhouse we bought for $1,900 just 2 years ago, and it's a solid little structure, but it had been sort of gutted and vandalized. And so the off-the-grid feature of the house sort of came at a price. It had been vandalized to be off the grid. But we took that and said, hey, off the grid can actually be a great thing, and so let's make it a great thing. And so it's a lot of what people have been saying about storytelling and turning things around or creating value for yourself and for your neighborhood. we went with the green sustainable design model, and instead of buying all the kinds of things that's the powerhouse, all the kinds of things that would tie you back to the DTE grid and then might possibly burden you with a utility bill, we said, let's look at the idea of sustainable design in terms of self-sustaining and resourcefulness and self-efficiency. And so the powerhouse is now powered by 4 solar panels and a wind turbine, and it provides all of the electrical energy that we need to run an artist residency studio, and electrical lights. And we're doing a lot of construction, but all the construction tools have been run off of our little DC localized power system. And the bigger long-term goal is that it'll actually create enough power both for itself and the house next to it. But the powerhouse is also meant to power in terms of a community hub. The neighborhood is a largely immigrant neighborhood, and Bangladeshi and Muslim is sort of the primary population there. And a lot of our neighbors need places to hold English classes, hold Quran classes. Right now they're doing everything out of their homes, but ideally they would have a space designated to that sort of thing. So one of the goals of the powerhouse is to act in that way. And then in terms of us, it would also act as a visiting artist space to live and work. Again, we've been hosting visiting artists in our home for the past, I don't know, 8 to 10 years. And it would be really great to have a space where visiting artists can call their own. They have privacy, we have privacy, and they also have a workspace there, because one of the big things one of the big strategies for us is really sort of an import-export strategy. We travel to support our design and art practice, and also to widen our network. And artists from overseas come to Detroit, and the longer we can keep them here, the more interested they are and engaged in the place, and the more their projects become long-term, and the more they invest or participate in the local economy. And it's kind of a win-win for everyone. So we try to get people to come and stay for long periods of time. And that's kind of one of the goals of the powerhouse. So it's kind of got, the powerhouse itself wears many hats. But quickly, there are a lot of other vacancies in the neighborhood, and we didn't want to sort of go at this alone either. So we started pulling in artist friends who started using houses for their own projects. So Kirsten was a curator from Germany. Charlie was a Cranbrook grad student. Actually, if you have a chance and you can go to YouTube and watch his video, 12527 Klinger, it's a really great like time-lapse movie of him renovating his house. And then the Detroit Tree of Heaven Woodshop is Mitch and 2 European collaborators, but it goes on and on. There are now about 15 project houses in the neighborhood, 3 of which Mitch and I own personally, 8 which the nonprofit owns, and the others are various artists doing various things throughout the neighborhood. So these are actually, if you go back for a second, Claire, sorry. But this one and the 2 slides before it are examples of professors from the University of Michigan Architecture School who used one of the houses as an installation space for their fellowship period. So, so there is a little U of M connection. But, and they have a lot of really other great images on the website. But that was a really successful partnership. We're always looking to collaborate and partner up with people. The project obviously has gotten much larger than just Mitch and I and our little idea in the corner storefront. And through Juxtapose magazine, whose newest issue features the project that we just finished in our neighborhood, so if you can go to the newsstands and buy Juxtapose. They knew what we were doing in Detroit, and they were super interested in how artists and they could be a part of it, so they wanted to throw a fundraiser for us, and we said, that's great, but it's just us. It's just Mitch and Gina, so would people want to fundraise for that? Through a whole series of developments and the growth of the project to other artists and national and international and throughout the neighborhood, we founded a nonprofit. So Powerhouse Productions is the nonprofit that has grown out of all of this activity. Juxtapose magazine raised $180,000 for us through an art auction, through the donation of artists who we never met across the country, went to our website, liked our idea, and said, okay, I'll donate my artwork and you can auction it off to try and raise money for these people. Super generous, on all fronts. And the result for them was that they wanted to send these 6 artists from New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles to come and do work with the houses in some way. So they took 4 abandoned vacant houses on Moran Street, totally transformed them. We have future plans for each of them. They're not, right now, none of them are inhabitable, although 2 of the artists are actually buying the house that they worked on. So now sort of this Oakland, California contingency has a home base in Detroit where all of their art and music friends can come through and stop in and sort of land in town. And the other 3 houses we have other future plans for, but the whole idea was just that art can activate these spaces, that these are spaces that have perhaps fire damage, or the drug house down the street might be looking to move into, and if we don't do something with them, then only negative things are going to happen there. So our whole thing is trying to positively activate vacant spaces. The last couple of slides that are up here are a skate park initiative that is actually sort of a sculpture park that's skatable. And we're working with a development group from New York called MacroC. And MacroC sort of became known for this dumpster pool project they did in Brooklyn. I don't know if anyone's heard about the dumpster pools, but they have a sort of a Detroit connection and a strong skate community connection. So they're, again, super interested in looking at what you can do in Detroit that you can't do anywhere else. So we're trying to buy the lots on East Davison from the city of Detroit. And it's going to be a series of sort of found objects that are then somehow transformed or made more sculptural that you can skate. And the one kind of funny route map shows how, well, at the end on Davison will open up into a big park area. The thing that's maybe less doable elsewhere is that the neighborhood has a whole series of alleys as part of their infrastructure. And how can we use the semi-abandoned, neglected alleyways as part of the skate park? So it's sort of like a steeplechase obstacle course scenario that dumps out into like a larger active zone. Yeah, just I think there's so much opportunity here, but people really need to, I think start small, be really specific, do what you know, and then just try to connect with as many people as you can to sort of make the network stronger, because we would have never gotten to this point if it was just Mitch and I in our little storefront on Joseph Campo. But people get excited and really love good ideas, and things just kind of take on a life of their own. And just try to keep up with it, I would say. That's what we're trying to do. So.